In 1990, a military convoy arrived in a tiny Bulgarian village. As soon as they arrived, soldiers fenced off land and began digging deep into the earth. Rumors circulated of a possible treasure hunt until strange events and unexplained sightings changed the story. What followed were 2 years of government secrecy, psychics, and mystery. Today, we explore what might have been hidden in the Tsarichina Hole. This is Red Web. Welcome back, Task Force, to another episode of Red Web, the podcast all about unsolved mysteries, true crime, and the unknown. I'm your resident mystery enthusiast, Trevor Collins, and joining me hearing this case for the very first time, Alfredo Diaz.
I'm just a scared little boy with all these horrors out in the world.
I'm just a little boy. I'm just a grown little boy.
Just a grown little
terrified.
Boy. Just a 36-year-old little boy. Terrified of everything that's going on out there. A little under the weather, so excuse my voice. But that being said, this seems to have everything.
Oh, yeah, it does. You hold on. You make me want to talk deeper now. You got that sultry, sick voice, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. But
people were telling me when I was streaming, they're like, can you start reading smut right now? I'm like, no, that's not happening.
Yes, sir.
That's not happening. No way. But, you know, I could talk about the Fae a little bit. Anyways, first, when you started talking about this, it started reminding me of the Marvel Studios movie Thor.
Okay, time to movie. Very short.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thor.
And then finding Thor's hammer, or Shield finding Thor's hammer. I was not expecting you to say treasure hunt. And then I'm very curious how psychics come into play. Like, what the hell is happening? Like, what? Is it to find the treasure? But also you said things changed. And so what did they change into? Is it paranormal? Are we going to get into some kind of cryptid or something? Like, this could go so many different ways. This thing is kind of like a catch-all for mysteries right now in my head.
Absolutely. What we have today, Alfredo and Task Force, is a smorgasbord of just everything we've ever covered. It literally taps into every function, from folklore to government cover-ups and conspiracies to aliens to the paranormal to cryptids. It's got a little bit of all of it. And so I'm just so excited to dive in, but we're going to talk about all of what this hole is, the story of when this Bulgarian military arrived, all the varying stories that have unfolded. As I said, there's rumors. The rumor mill is a churnin', and we're going to uncover all of that. And then in the theories, we're going to get more specific as to what people think was in the hole, because that has changed over time. And then we're going to talk about the theories that answer maybe why this whole thing was happening in the first place. This whole thing.
The whole thing.
Yeah, well, that was an accidental pun, but it's in there now. But before we dive in, this is our 5-year anniversary. This week is huge for us, and we are celebrating in a big, big way. I'm going to talk in just a little bit about the stream here on Friday that's happening at 2 p.m. Central Time. We're going to go for 13 hours, ending at the witching hour, so come hang out with us. But for this week only, if you want to become a member of the task force over at redwebpod.com and get everything we have to offer, from exclusive goodies and shows, bonus material, and this ad-free podcast, plus other things, we have, just this week alone, 20% off annual memberships. So come on out, support us directly by becoming a task force member. It's our biggest fuel in this rocket ship. And now future me will tell you about the stream. This Friday is our enormous 5-year anniversary stream. July 18th at 2 p.m. Central Time. We have a huge stream packed for you where we're trying to crowdfund the next phase of Red Web, piloting new series as well as revisiting old ones.
Yeah, so we got 13 hours of live content. We've got a new segment almost every hour. We've got a live Case Files episode. We know you guys love Case Files, so we're going to be doing that live. We've also got a couple video game segments. We've got Minecraft and Repo, but the cool thing about that is that we're going to enable crowd control so you guys can influence the game as we play it. So please be nice. Send us health packs and not monsters, things like that.
We have to keep Jillian alive in one of these segments, and so you guys throwing monsters at us is going to be a mess.
Or weapons. That'll help. That too.
Yeah.
We've got horror movie trivia. You guys will be able to play along in chat. So that'll be great. And at the very, very late night segments, we've got things like scary stories. But this is just half or a small slice of everything that we're going to be doing within the 13 hours. And again, this is a big, huge drive for us, not only celebrating 5 years of Red Web, but we're also campaigning to be able to do more shows and expand the Red Web universe for you guys.
Right. This Friday, July 18th at 2 p.m. Central Time, we have a lot of stretch goals. So let's talk about those. We're driving for stretch goals like piloting new shows. We want to do a true scary stories series with you guys where I get to drag Fredo through your scary stories and scary stories I find around the internet. We want to do a video essay format, which is exploring some of our classics in a new, almost like a remastering form, but also some new mysteries in a visual format. As well as we want to pilot a mini vlog series. We want to bring back old episodes of Case Files, bring that back to the forefront. Like I said, I want to drag Fredo into a ghost hunt. So the big question is, how can you contribute? How can we get these stretch goals done? Well, there's a couple ways. First of all proceeds earned from the founders merch that are exclusive to July 2025 will go towards these stretch goals, as well as all Patreon signups this month. And for this week, exclusively get 20% off an annual membership over on our Patreon. Again, at redwebpod.com. That means if you sign up for 12 months, you essentially get 2.5 months for free.
Damn.
So what better time to sign up for an annual membership? Come get that discount and support us making new shows.
Anything helps. You get a current subscription, extending that helps as well. Like all these things are going to a giant pot in which we can do these new things and create more content for you guys.
So again, join us on July 18th at 2 p.m. Central Time, and we're going to have a blast. So come hang out, and thank you so much for your support. All right, Fredo. Let me take you back to 13 days before little old me was born, December 6, 1990.
Oh, dang. Okay, under 2 weeks.
You know, maybe I was in the Tsarichina Hole, you know? We don't know this.
Yeah, maybe they pulled you out of the hole.
Tsarichina? Oh, that's my mom.
Yeah.
So weird. Okay. December 6, 1990. The Bulgarian military arrived in a small village known as Sericina. This is located in the western part of Bulgaria. Now, it is quite remote on its own, but just 20 miles north of the capital of Sofia, so not so remote that you can't get to a major city. And to give you an idea of just how small this village is, we only have a population count as of a few years ago. I really tried to look for back in the 90s, but in 2021, there was only 72 people living in this small town.
Okay, I thought there was going to be 1,000 at the end of that sentence.
Yeah, no, even smaller.
72 people?
Yeah.
Too small. Way too small.
This town is like the bar in Cheers. Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows each other's business. Too small. Way too small.
You do something embarrassing and everyone knows.
Everybody knows. Yeah. You break up and it's like, what are you going to do? You all have the same friends. Like,
yeah. The dating pool is terrible.
But a wedding's bigger than 72 people. What is that?
Yeah. All right. So almost immediately after their arrival here in this town, the army started gating off a large section of land with covered fences. Locals had no idea why the military rolled up on their village, let alone why they were sectioning off a specific area of land. And reportedly, upon their arrival, the soldiers themselves were very secretive about what they were doing. So of course, this is the perfect foundation for rumors to spread. And the locals and some of the soldiers eventually are also adding to these rumors about what their purpose is here in this town. And initially the rumor was that a project called Operation Sunray, I've also heard it referred to as Operation Lightbeam, was here to locate a buried treasure. So as this story goes, Tsar Samuel of Bulgaria had buried or hidden his treasure in this area before going to battle with the Byzantine Empire in the late 10th century. This would put the treasure being buried about 1,000 years, almost to the year, before this mysterious arrival of the soldiers.
It's also weird because then this must be treasure that is quite vast if you're going to have military personnel show up. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it for $50,000. Right. It's got to be something massive or something that can change the world. You know, if you're going to get super dramatic about it or something.
Now you're cooking.
If the treasure is the formula to something, or I'm getting very cinematic with it.
Christian, he's cooking. If he goes a little further, he might get into the phase 2 of what these ideas are. I mean, he's seeing the future a few minutes in advance. And the more you do it, the further in advance it gets. I feel like we're hitting 5 minutes now. So as we go forward, it's important to mention, as I like to do, that there's almost no record of this particular military excursion. Much of what we know about this story comes from eyewitness testimonies, word-of-mouth stories, and rumors. Of course, it has been reported over the years, but again, there's no official government records of the events around this hole. And it's for this reason that many believe that any records that may have actually existed were destroyed, perhaps to hide evidence of their activities.
Yep.
Again, some would say that completely ruins the credibility of this whole event. And others say, I think it lends credence to this actually happening, right? So it's worth noting, though, this was during a time where Bulgaria had just begun to transition into democracy after revolutions in 1989 against communist rule. So this provides some, I think, interesting context for the relationships between citizens, the government, any domestic military operations. There's a lot of turmoil, perhaps, a lot of change happening during this time. So back to the arrival of the soldiers. As soon as they could, soldiers began digging into the ground, led by Colonel Zetko Kanev. Soon after they broke ground, much of the brand new equipment began to malfunction, so they resorted to digging by hand with shovels and pickaxes. As the hole formed, a tent was raised over it to further impede any efforts of prying eyes to see what the military was up to. Now, this is where I reference our first image of the episode. If you want to go ahead and take a look at that, Fredo, it is quite blurry. It is 2 photos put together, but I, for the life of me, could not find a higher resolution image of either of these 2 things. So tell me what you're seeing and I'll help you break it down.
I mean, it's a tent that looks shorter than like 6 feet, to be honest.
Right.
It's very wide, probably like 18 feet wide and long, but it's not that tall, not at all.
Right.
The person on the top part of the photo is like ducking to get into it, so they have just a little tent, nothing like fanciful, like
nothing crazy.
The movie Thor, where they had like a whole compound around it.
Right, yeah.
This is just like, we put up a tent. It's a low tent. We put it up. I mean, sure, they're digging holes in there. Sounds annoying as hell to have to like dig stuff out of there. I guess it's snowing too, so to deal with that as a thing.
You can see just behind in that lower image, you can see the fence kind of going along in the background. That's preventing people nearby. Like there is a house, I believe, kind of catty corner behind that fence. So there are people nearby. There is modern photos of this. You can go find this exact spot in modern Bulgaria. And where that is now, there's actually, I think, a tower that almost stands as a cap to this hole, maybe like kind of a pseudo monument. Either way, people have triangulated where this is, but we'll talk about the fate of the hole as we go. I also want to say we do have several images of people actively digging in this hole. I think we'll kind of rotate those on screen periodically because there's no good moment to point those out. But Fredo, if you want to go ahead and open up those photos, you can take a look at those as I kind of describe the digging as things go on.
Okay.
It's hard to pinpoint when these were or what specific moments these were, but we just know that these are photos from the digging.
Yeah, there's the black and white photos. Like I was thinking like they're digging down Armageddon style hole down into the ground. But this is like they're digging like tunnel systems and stuff.
Yeah. They talk a little bit, and I don't know if I included it in my outline, but almost like they dug kind of a spiral staircase type thing to get down, and we'll talk about what they uncovered. But as they were digging about 20 feet down, now again, pickaxes and shovels because equipment was malfunctioning. 20 feet down, they hit a hard layer of stone, and so this is where they started to use explosives to punch through that hard ground. And as they dug deeper, they noticed that they had a difficult time communicating back up with the surface. In fact, even on the surface, normal radio communication seemed clogged, like there was interference, like they just couldn't radio back and forth as they normally would. So, of course, you might expect some interference from deep within the earth up to the surface, but it also happened on the surface itself. People trying to radio in and out of Tsarichina. From here, rumors began to spread further. Locals began to suspect that Samuel's treasure might have actually been a cover-up story. Even the soldiers themselves, I believe, added to some of these theories because they're thinking, hey, what are we really after? This seems like a bigger effort than a treasure hunt.
It really does. This is a lot for a treasure hunt. Like, this is excessive. You know, we've done a handful of treasure hunt episodes, and they're just normal people going for the treasure. Maybe some specialists or whatnot, but not like a whole government sanctioning off an area and then digging through. They're not doing that for money. You know what I mean? Like, or even if it was money, it would have to be like a whole like cave of like riches or something like that. Like, and absorbing them out, right? We're talking about the government. They're not going to be like, oh, $1 million. Like, let's lock this place down and go get that milli. Like, it's not happening. It'd have to be something more.
Totally. And we'll talk about the expense, the rumored expense, right? Again, there's no hard documentation, but it is the reported expense, and we'll get there. But some of the rumors now was that the military was actually searching for a cryptic item referred to as object number 1. So this is where things get a little hairy. I was kind of caught on this catch-22, this chicken or the egg. Was object number 1 just a name given to this mysterious item? Was it something that the government themselves kind of labeled this thing? We'll break it down a little bit here, but ultimately, the exact identity of what object number 1 was is very much a part of this mystery. Like I said, we'll talk about the ideas of what those are as we get into the theories. I'll break down all the possible angles of what people have rumor milled that to be. But ultimately, it was said to be an item so precious, so secretive, that it demanded all of this hush-hush, all of this military movement, all of this coordination. Even though it's a little confusing, we don't know what object number 1 is. I have one that I really want to kind of get into here in a second. I kind of want to address how the military knew to be here. Again, it's part of that chicken or the egg conversation. But the military must have known that it was here, so they knew to come looking for it. And of course, there's a few angles to this story, but the main source was a woman, a psychic, named Elizaveta Loginova, who had received visions of this object and then told the military about it. Loginova's husband was employed by the Ministry of Defense, and perhaps this is how the military knew of her capabilities with clairvoyance and being able to see like this, and maybe why they were convinced in her accuracy with her visions. But there's also a relatively small history of this type of investigation in previous Bulgarian leaders. We have seen that there was an interest or a belief in the occult. And as an interesting aside, for example, there was a woman named Baba Vanga who was famous in Bulgaria during World War II and up into the 90s. We'll talk a little bit more about her later, but her claim to fame was, again, during World War II, where she gained notoriety for her clairvoyance and predictions of the future. She would initially help families predict if their loved ones were alive during the war, or if they had passed, where they might have passed away at, so they could be found, grieved, and laid to rest. And ultimately, I wanted to include this because it sounds so science fiction. She was eventually included and studied as part of the Institute of Suggestology, which is a real scientific center focused on studying the power of suggestion over human behavior. Institute of Suggestology sounds so made up.
It sounds absolutely like BS. Like,
yeah, but it's real.
Also wild that the government was like, we believe this psychic, and we're gonna like, full send it on this psychic's words.
It tickles the doubt button a little bit, and we have a theory for that. But I do love the idea, honestly, of there being a department somewhere that's studying the power of suggestion on human behavior, because there is something to be said. Advertising is a thing. Marketing works for certain reasons. Like,
yeah.
Suggestion can carry sway, and so there is value in studying that. But suggestology is such a fun word.
You gotta come up with a better word.
It's not cool enough.
Suggestology.
That's not very MI6. It's not very FBI. Yeah. But ultimately, with regards to Baba Vanga, believers claim most of her predictions have come true, and she stands as a strong example of the trust, as we're talking about, that many people had in parapsychology. I mean, even Nostradamus, right? There's a lot of predictions that people debate are accurate, and some that say, hey, it's super cryptic, it's ambiguous, it could mean anything, you can apply it to any future, right? So that's a whole different conversation, but I think it's worth knowing because a lot of this mystery rests on a foundation of psychics and premonition, that's where this is stemming from. So Loginova, the person I mentioned earlier, reportedly she had visions of object number 1, told military leaders where they would need to dig in order to get to it, but also how they would dig. And there's a lot of other details. Depending on the source, those details change, but presumably this is guiding them to the so-called treasure or whatever this object is. Loginova herself was accompanied by other psychics, and though each of them seemed to disagree initially on what exactly they were digging for, ultimately a uniform story came through. But one of the psychics said that they were searching for, quote, a yellow monkey, and Loginova herself claims she saw some kind of androgynous proto-human. I'll let you break that down and chew on it for a second.
I'm sorry, a golden monkey?
A yellow-haired monkey.
Okay.
Or some sort of proto-human.
What does that even mean, proto-human?
Listen, I don't know Latin. I won't break down proto, but I assume it's an early iteration of humans. One of the theories is that it's the first human.
Interesting. And then the government was like...
They're like, sure, let's go look into it just in case. Because just in case, what if it is?
Right. And apparently she has a good track record.
Supposedly, yeah.
That's still so much for the government. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much for the government to go off of.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's so little for the government to go off of, which is pretty
Right.
interesting that they like full sent it in the way that they did.
Mhm.
But I'm very curious to see like if they found anything at all.
Oh, we'll get there. Because I hope your fingers aren't looking for something tangible as you sip in your sippy cup.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have much knowledge, but little to touch. Not a lot of tangible here. So, additionally, right, Loginova believed that this being, right, the reason why the government should seek out and dig out this being is because it held invaluable secrets to humanity, that it would unlock some sort of secret knowledge, and that she herself wasn't just having premonitions. No, she was being guided by higher life forms, or as she called teachers. They were guiding her to it. And again, there's a lot of rumors as to what this proto-human was, but the idea here, the main theory, is that this proto-human stemmed from a lost ancient time where humans were more advanced than they are today. The idea is that there was an advanced civilization way before time as we know it, that since, went extinct or diminished or lost knowledge, back down to, shall I say, cavemen times, before we re-advanced, rediscovered fire in the wheel, etc. That's the idea. Again, I don't want to, we'll dive into object number one's identities beyond a yellow monkey or a proto-human once we get into the theories.
Okay.
But it's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, the fact that we were so advanced and then we just reverted back because of some event or something. And then I guess enough time has passed where there was just no traces of that.
It's a very good question, right? I would say my gut instinct is to say that if there was an advanced civilization, that we'd find some sort of, I don't know, wrench from the Mesozoic era,
right?
Or you know what I mean? Something. But it has been said, and again, I don't know if this is fact or not, so really take this with a grain of salt, that if we disappeared today, that all evidence of us having existed could dissipate within tens of thousands of years, if not sooner. I'm kind of firing from the hip, task force. Let me know. I might be way off base, to be totally fair, but I would have to believe that some of this steel and, metal objects would at least live longer, but, rust happens, right? I don't know. I'm just a 34-year-old boy. I don't know.
I just feel like there'd be something that we dig up or whatnot, something that fell into a hole somewhere or fell into the root of a tree, and it just preserved it enough over tens of thousands of years or whatever. And then it'd be dug up at some point in time. People would go, whoa, what's this?
Yeah. I gotta believe that tens of thousands of years after humans have disappeared or flown to the stars or whatever, a little alien being is going to hit down on Earth, go beep, bop, boop, start digging, and they will find the active refrigerator keeping Walt Disney's head frozen.
It's true. Yep. Yeah.
It'll be a nuclear wasteland of dust and sand and rubble and rust, and then somewhere a pristine capsule holding this man's frozen, smiling head.
Yeah. Ready to be reawakened.
And it's got a watermark with Mickey on it that says, "Don't you draw this."
Yeah. Copyrighted.
It's mine. This episode of Red Web is sponsored by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are always built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays are back and they have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't even sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Need I say it, Task Force? I've talked about Shady Rays a billion times in the past because they are my go-to shades. Genuinely, every day I wear my Shady Rays, whether I'm driving, on my walk, or just trying to look cool. They have so many different styles now, so no matter what your outfit or style is, you have shades that match the occasion. And you know I'm a sucker for polarized lenses. They get rid of the glare off of windows and the water and everything like that. So if you're a big outdoorsy person, you gotta have polarized lenses. Exclusively for Task Force members, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code REDWEB for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. So let's come back to the hole in the military a little bit more. The military personnel, along with Loginova, then reached out to Baba Vanga for assistance. This call has actually been recorded and you can go listen to it, and it has been translated. So if you trust those translations, I just don't know Bulgarian, and we don't have time on a weekly basis to hire, the best of the best translators. But ultimately, in those translations, she told them, quote, "Come back when they find the stairs," end quote. So now Baba Vanga herself, very famous at this point, is now weighing in. She is having kind of sights and clairvoyant moments as to what they might find down this hole. And she asked them as well. In addition to that, she says, "Have you found the human head, an obelisk, or symbols or hieroglyphs?" And we do end up getting into that. And Loginova actually answers, I believe, in this recording saying, "Yes, we found an obelisk and strange symbols." So in addition to this, there are many stories that come out of Tsarichina, and the timeline is a little fuzzy, but I'm going to break down a few of the strange things at a high level that kind of started to happen after this dig had begun. And I'm going to try to keep that timeline as clean as possible. So a common story comes from the soldiers, and it's that they would see mysterious figures walking along the gates of their facility. Some of the stories claim that at night they would see 7-foot-tall monsters skulking in the dark, but others, interestingly, describe these entities as 1-foot-tall creatures running through the woods. Completely different. Maybe the 7-foot-tall creatures are like the little ones stacked up on top of each other wearing a trench coat.
Yeah, exactly. Little Rascals style. Then they split.
Yeah. And then when they're seen, they go, "Split!" And then they run into the woods.
See, here's the thing, though. It's just so vastly different. We just go, yeah, what are they really seeing? Are they just eyes playing tricks on them type of situation? Because the atmosphere is conducive to that, right?
Yes, 100%.
You're digging down low. The psychic's telling you're going to find all these mysterious things. You're quarantining stuff off. It's the middle of the night. Your mind's wandering.
You got people trying to eavesdrop and look in. It could just be people in the dark, you know?
As I was thinking too, could literally just be people who just been like, "What's going on in there? Can you see anything?" "I don't know, I can't see nothing."
Well, that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah. And then they're over there like, "Oh my God, 7-foot-tall monster."
Right.
It's just someone in the distance.
Just a dude going, "Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
How's the hole?" Never ask Greg about his hole.
No.
But this is just scratching the surface. There were countless UFO sightings of all kinds. You know, again, we know all the different kinds. We've explored them all. But the simple common thread through all of these was that people frequently saw mysterious lights in the sky. And it is always interesting. You know, we've talked about some of the common theories, psychologically speaking, or what have you, as to why there's always seemingly like strange lights around mysterious places. Is it the place themselves imbibing some sort of energy into the air? Is it actually aliens? Is there some sort of, as you said, is this place mysterious enough that it's conducive to seeing things that you might have thought were normal? But I mean, we've seen it with drones. People say they see a drone and they go, "But I don't know what that is." but this happened quite a bit. Other strange reports came through about a constant humming sound. And we talked about this a long time ago with sky trumpets, that there is sometimes around the world this humming sound, and it's sometimes of earthly nature and sometimes it's just, we don't know. There's also the fact that many stories came through about the radios not working, and this is where it gets really eerie. Apparently the colonel had set up a telephone booth on site to kind of mitigate this issue, try to get around it. Now we're hardwired in, maybe there won't be aerial interference, but this is where the operators claimed that on those phone lines, sometimes they would hear whispering on the line. When no one was there, they would hear voices whispering to them, and I couldn't find what they were saying, if they were saying anything. Maybe in the static, people were picking up voices, but either way, that's very eerie.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Nowadays, all of our stuff's got to be in a data bank somewhere, right?
Probably. Probably, right? Like,
probably. It might not be something that's like stored forever. It might be something that's like 2 years and then it's like auto deleted or something. But you have to think it's stored somewhere.
Oh yeah, I feel like even if you don't know it, what you're doing, who you're calling, what you're saying is going to some database somewhere.
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
Yeah. You can't be sending juicy photos, man. You just send that and all of a sudden get caught up in the cloud or something like that. You know what I mean? All of a sudden Apple's like, man, I got a whole data bank of this man juicy photo.
Now you're tangled up in something you don't want to be involved in.
Yeah,
that's where blackmail comes from.
True.
That's why I only operate on floppy disks locally. No network. My computer's never been on a network.
I only take Polaroids.
I only take Polaroids. But ultimately, like we're seeing, there's a wide range of paranormal experiences happening here. And this is ultimately what stoked the change in rumors, right? We're talking about a hidden treasure. And now people are like, there's way too much weirdness happening here. There must be something else. And this is where object number 1 started to hit the rumor mill. From here, another psychic got involved, and even Baba Vanga, like I said, was consulted. And the psychic spoke of being under the ground. Their stories changed, like I kind of indicated a few times, but eventually they landed on a similar story, each of them, of the belief that the first human was buried here in Tsarichina. Again, proto-human to retread that ground. Another story involves a local villager who came across a bright beam of light on November 27th, 1991, almost a year to the day after this thing had kicked off. After contact with this mysterious light, he claimed to have blacked out and then woke up in another town 40 miles south.
It feels like aliens at this point.
It does. Or it feels like someone had a good excuse for a wild night out.
That's true, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mom. I don't know. I saw light. I disappeared. I ended up in the club.
Yeah, I just ended up with the club. All of a sudden, it was just juiced up alien. That's
why it's always juicy. It's like the mummy in the mummy. And it's still juicy.
It just tried to seduce me. And I take it back. You will not destroy my peace tonight. And then I woke up in a mysterious place. It all had to do with that hole.
Yeah, it all started with the hole, Ma. Oh, man. Okay, so this is where I want to bring you to the most famous of these stories. This is what they supposedly found in the Tsarichina Hole after 2 years of digging. This may be a mix of stories from Lorovina and Kanev, as they both published books about their experiences, and translation, again, makes it a little bit difficult to determine which is which, so I want to credit both books. But after digging for a certain depth, the crew is said to have hit an opening where they discovered and entered a strange tunnel system. According to some versions of this story, this tunnel then released a type of bacterium that made the soldiers sick. And at the center of this system, there was a large cavern. Some stories claim that a type of hieroglyphic writing was on the walls. I am desperate. If we have photos of people in this tunnel, I'm desperate for photos of these hieroglyphs and these skeletal remains that they found. They said that they found skeletal remains contained in stone, sort of like amber. It's said that these might have been the crystallized remains of an alien or a proto-human. We're thinking Jurassic Park out here. I'm thinking the mummy when they pop a booby trap and they get acid splashed. Like, it's hitting all of it. And it's unclear exactly what happened after this, but some versions of the story claim that after these few soldiers were injured or came down sick, all records ceased. And after this discovery, Operation Sunray suddenly shut down.
What?
Other versions of the story claim that the different military officials became involved and saw no results after these 2 years.
2 years.
2 years they're doing this.
That's a lot of time and effort.
If you're not finding something after 2 years of digging, it's become a hobby that is an obsession.
Yeah.
And we need to move on.
I feel like after 6 months, it's like, what is the government doing listening to a psychic, just having them dig?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of time and resources. Or you just throw the division that you hate. They got nothing to do. Just go, yeah, I'll take care of that.
Listen, her husband was in the Ministry of Defense. Maybe she's going like, oh, you don't like Huck?
Yeah.
From Ministry of Digging?
Yeah. Send him and his team down there.
I saw something. Tell him I saw something.
Tell him I seen it. And then just have them out there.
They'll be like, what is it? Don't even worry about it. Just
then they found something and you go, oh, word? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's exactly. They finally found it. Good on them.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was the whole time.
The whole time. I know you said that there's nothing tangible.
Yes.
Which is so unfortunate because if they found these things, I'd love to see photos or something.
Yeah.
But I guess like in theory, they found it and then things were like covered up essentially. Other government stepped in and went, whoa, hold on.
I mean, it has been likened to the Area 51 of Bulgaria, and maybe it's for those reasons. Maybe they disappeared whatever they found, right? Some sources have claimed that scientists got involved, requested to analyze the findings, but again, there's conflicting reports. There's no tangible evidence of these findings, and so you can go two ways. Did anything ever exist in the first place, or are they covering up something that they did find? Either way, after a reported 16 million lev spent, this is the local currency, and this is in the early 90s, so converting in today's currency, that's $9.5 million, 16 million lev, 9.5 million. Again, I don't know what that is today with inflation and everything, so it's not a small sum. It's several $1 million.
Jesus. See, that's a lot of time, and I'm so surprised that the government committed to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So you couple that with no public findings, and that seems a little mysterious. Now let's couple that with what happened at the end. The military used explosives and concrete to, bang, fill in and seal the Tsarichina Hole, forever entombing what may have been down there, and if nothing else, sealing the mystery along with it.
What?
Yeah.
Ain't no way they found...
You thinking about what I'm thinking? I think we get a hotel, a hostel, and we start digging.
That's what I'm saying. Give me one of them beach shovels you make sandcastles out of.
2 foot long plastic shovel.
Yeah. A year and a half. Okay. Yeah, I feel like they did the majority of the work.
Okay. You're just going to find that weak soil and be like, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to just find the weak spots and all that and then just start chipping away.
Christian, note this down. Through his firm belief and 5 minute at a second soothsaying, he will, with a sand shovel, dig through that concrete in like 75% of the time.
75% of the time, baby.
It's all possible.
If you believe, you can achieve.
And jot that down.
Jot that down. Go on a red web poster. Let it motivate you.
We have now gone so meta that we are riddling Christian's notes with insane stuff.
Yeah, scribbles.
It's become we need to post these on Patreon. Yeah. It's become unhinged. So from here, I want to try to clear up as much as possible. There's some messiness, there's some twists and turns, but we'll start off, like I said, with the fun theories. What was object number 1? There's a few stones left unturned as to what that thing could be, a couple angles on that proto-human thing. And then, of course, we'll talk about some theories as to what happened with the hole, what was going on, and we're going to cap it off with a popular theory that is shared on Reddit. Because, of course, it's the other ingredient we were missing was the internet. This episode of Red Web is sponsored by Rocket Money. With prices going up on just about everything lately, dealing with money can be stressful. Trying to manage subscriptions, track spending, cut your costs, all of this, juggle multiple credit cards, whatever it is, it can all feel overwhelming. Luckily, Rocket Money can relieve some of that stress and help you feel confident in the financial decisions you make. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money shows all your expenses in one place, including subscriptions you have forgotten about. I know we all have them. If you see a subscription that you no longer want, Rocket Money will help you cancel it. Their dashboard lays out your total financial picture, including bill due dates and paydays, all the good stuff that you really need to be paying attention to, and it's all in a way that's easy to digest. You can even automatically create custom budgets based on your past spending and your personal habits. I use Rocket Money to coalesce all my different spending cards, and I also love the fact that I can see what categories I'm spending in. Am I overspending in entertainment? I am wont to do that. Am I overeating out? Or is it all going to my groceries? I gotta have that. You know what I mean? I love that it categorizes everything and it can let you know where you're going minimum or maximum. Rocket Money's over 5 million members have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, with members saving up to $740 a year when they use all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/redweb today. That's rocketmoney.com/redweb. One more time, rocketmoney.com/redweb. Let's dive in. Object number 1. Was it, I'm going to treat like a game show. Was it behind curtain number 1, an ancient humanoid entity? Claimed to be a large humanoid figure embedded in a wall, possibly fossilized or preserved. I'm picturing, and there have been drawings of this, it looks like kind of a Jersey Devil-like thing in amber is kind of what this idea is.
I would stay so far away from that thing. Bro, ain't no way. No way.
If your radios are cutting out and you're hearing a hum, some whispers and creatures running around up top, I'm not releasing that beast.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I take a photo though.
Pure evil.
Object number 2. Was it a biological protective slab? I think that this is kind of part of the story, but described by psychic Loginova as a slab coated with dangerous bacteria. Was this some sort of capstone? Was this some sort of deterrent or a shield that was attempting to guard whatever laid behind it? This might have been what released the bacterium that made some people sick when they entered this cave thing. An interesting one before we get into all the other, humanoid things. Supposedly, there was a stone found during excavation that was described as artificially shaped. Oftentimes you see something that's like a little too smooth for perhaps nature to have done. That's not impossible. Nature has some weird shapes. Just gonna put that out there. But when they found this kind of concave lens type shape, they thought this is too strange for nature. Maybe this is artificial.
Okay.
The next 3 are all kind of similar or pivot around the same point. 4, was this an extraterrestrial artifact or technology? Right? The idea here is that it's possible an alien object or component, sometimes described as triangular or technological in nature, was suspected to be of an interdimensional origin. Just some advanced tech from another dimension is kind of the angle here.
Oh, that's like far out there.
Yeah. The next one kind of addresses the yellow monkey angle, and it's not necessarily a yellow monkey, so to speak, as it is more of a precursor to humans. So you think Neanderthal and even earlier, Gigantopithecus, something like that, where it has more body hair, and if in fact it might be covered in hair, but described as Baba Yaga as that yellow monkey, or maybe this blonde-haired monkey. Was this a primordial creature that was simply in hibernation? Neither male nor female, possibly just a dormant iteration or a missing link in the human genome.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
And then, of course, we circle back to the proto-human, the idea that whoever this was the original human. And rumors behind this first human was that it was a type of pre-human entity that proved that our human evolution was linked to ancient aliens. And there we have it. Ancient aliens has finally arrived in Red Web. The idea here being that, there is no missing link because aliens came down, messed with the genome, and this is the first person that they created and then stowed away for whatever reason.
Whoa.
Like a museum of our DNA, I guess? I don't know.
But, just like an experiment of past version 1, the alpha version.
All very interesting.
These are great theories.
They're very fun.
It's like the end of a movie. Any one of these could work.
Yeah. It's kind of reminds me of The Sphere, which is a book, but also a movie. I don't know. I love the idea of question mark, what was it? I love the idea of there's got to be something. But again, this, they're unsubstantiated, some fun answers. But this leads us into the idea of the whole operation. What was behind this? What was going on? Why were they digging? What was up with all the paranormal activity around it?
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive into those theories.
Okay.
Since there's little to no official evidence about the Tsarichina endeavor, it is widely believed that the military covered up their activities and destroyed all evidence of their presence, ultimately saying that whatever this was some sort of actual thing. We don't know what it was, right? We don't know exactly what they were after, but that it did happen and that it was an active cover-up.
The thing is, either way, I think you'd want to cover it up, right? You don't want people to just go jumping down there into that giant hole.
Right. Yeah, you also, if you found nothing, don't want people going, you spent 16 mil on a hole?
Yeah. I mean, the amount of people that'd be like, well, I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah, and me, and I'd go fumbling in, and then I become the proto-human because I broke my neck. And
right, exactly.
But yeah, what's interesting, though, in addition to these thoughts, is that Loginova apparently took extensive notes during the project. However, it is said that she wrote in an entirely unknown language. Again, I'm desperately seeking evidence. I would love to see that writing. Right. Let's get our task force cryptographers on this stuff and start cracking.
Got a whole division. Crack away at it.
So speaking of that, actually, these writings were in fact sent by the Bulgarian military out to the world to cryptographers to see if they could translate it, and they were unable to do so. Again, does that lend credence to a strong code? Does that lend credence to the fact that it was hogwash? We'll never know.
Yeah, you can argue both ways.
And from here, Loginova claims that her notes were never returned to her, and therefore they are missing and we may never see them in order to try to crack them. So...
How unfortunate.
Convenient.
How unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know. A little suspicious, but accidents happen. I say it all the time, but we've seen skulls lost in the mail.
Yeah, so anything can happen.
Some believe that the project at Tsarichina was a complete failure, and I think you kind of led on to this, Fredo, and that the stories simply cover up the waste of money that occurred at such a contemptuous time in Bulgaria, right? Tensions are already high, a lot of change is already happening, and so they're going, oh my God, we're spending millions of dollars, lots of manpower, and nothing to be found. We're even bringing out psychics and things, and let's just flood the air with, I saw UFOs and creatures and things.
Yeah, to cover up the embarrassment that they have, essentially.
Yeah, it's kind of like a disinformation campaign to kind of fog of war. You don't look here.
Yeah, look over here. Look at all the things that are going on. Not our failures.
Right. I'm thinking you're drawing me like a moth to a flame, but I get you. Otherwise, national attention might not care. Now, there is one little interesting angle here. It's a dirt hole. I gotta preface this, but some stories claim that it was a cover-up because nuclear weapons were buried in this hole. And the government didn't want locals to discover them, come fumbling into them, but they also didn't want people to know that they were living next to dangerous materials. So they simply said, we don't know, right? So maybe they put something there, is the idea.
That's like wild that they would, I don't know, it would be there in the first place.
No, I mean, like, they basically dug a hole and then put nuclear. So it's like almost a swap. So instead of finding something or looking for something,
right?
That's the cover story. Oh, don't worry, we got the thing out of there when they're actually winking and putting something there. In this case, potentially nuclear material.
Like they're planting stuff.
Yeah, or hiding it.
Right.
You know.
Oh, like if the cop is like searching, you just throw a bag or something like that. Like, look what I found.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
Here's the government saving you. We found stuff.
Yeah. Now, of course, unsubstantiated. These are theories. These are rumors. No physical evidence either direction. But with that, let's move into the next theory. Some wonder if this area was actually a paranormal hotspot, or even, as always, a portal to other dimensions. It does feed into what perhaps object number one was, but strictly speaking, just looking at the large amount of varying stories coming out of Sericina, it has been compared to things like I said, Area 51, but even Skinwalker Ranch, where creatures have been seen, ghosts have been seen, unidentified flying objects or lights have been seen, and strange sounds, like all sorts of these things are happening. And so maybe it's just a paranormal area and the government was researching that. Maybe they were digging after something to figure out what's causing it. Or maybe this theory doesn't really answer the whole part, but the idea is that this was a paranormal hotspot.
It's interesting because then, like, how would you pinpoint said hotspot? Like, I would want to know. You know, that's the thing.
That's a great question. Yeah.
Are you digging so far in one particular spot? Like, how do you know that's the spot?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, maybe somebody was out there with dowsing rods. But
true.
If I'm thinking a place is very paranormal, again, let's talk about Skinwalker Ranch, right? I don't know if I could really go out there and go, this has to be the spot, because people have cited things all over that property.
Right. Yeah. All over.
So
you go, this is the area, but specifically a spot to start digging. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe again, that's where the psych had said, yes, this is a paranormal spot. This is the spot you want to dig, etc. Right.
Right.
The next one's a little bit more ambiguous, as I like to address. There could be psychological effects from rumors, spiraling fear from people hearing things, but also, again, what's happening in the zeitgeist. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt, what's happening with change and with the government, especially in this small town when the military's in your backyard. So maybe that simply enough explains the strange occurrences. It doesn't really say what the government was doing, but perhaps their arrival alone was enough to just, we talk about suggestology. Maybe these experiences and these rumors were stoked by the power of suggestion, just by the mystery, just by the military being there and being secretive.
I mean, the thing is, like, as much as we want to say, like, oh, maybe this happened, maybe that happened. I mean, what we do know is that they dug a big old hole and spent a lot of money. Like, they believed in something.
Yes.
Whether it was a false belief or not, like, they actually put 2 years and billions of dollars into this. That's something.
100%. And maybe that's enough to see the birth of a paranormal hotspot. Maybe it's just enough to spark the flame in locals and in the world. And now, we're talking about it. This is a tale commonly known and told in Bulgaria, as I understand it. But I've also seen it talked about across the world. So,
right.
Now this next one's really interesting. And I was hoping that there would be more physical evidence for this particular theory. It does connect some dots, but again, there's not a lot of hard evidence. So, was this a scam by maybe General Menev to embezzle government funds? Let's talk about it. So as we know, the Tsarichina project occurred during a time of immense change in Bulgaria, and an embezzlement scheme could have easily gotten lost in the mix. I've worked at engineering facilities that have government contracts, and I've been witness to how rounding errors can be huge.
Right.
And when you're talking about government projects that are worth billions, sometimes a few million just slip in here and there and whatever. So when we're talking about the full scale of a government budget, it's possible that 16 million lev just slip out the door like that.
Right. You have something like this where it's like, okay, we're going to be digging away at this random hole. How much did it cost? 4 million. Really, it cost $1 million.
Yeah. And they go, whatever, let's just move on, let's not dissect it. You're after something. Okay. But again, maybe there was a lack of oversight. Maybe there wasn't somebody critically going, hey, this shouldn't be happening. You don't have any evidence for 2 years. Let's shut it down. Maybe, again, we'll dive into it. But like I said, there's a whole Reddit thread discussing this, and it's not the only one. There are many discussion threads about this. I was looking at the one on r/AskBalkans for the people in the area, where many commenters were pretty blunt in their opinions regarding this, to them, obvious scam of a project. As we're going through, it's an interesting story, but if you picture somebody telling the government about this, like, hey, this is what I'm being told is here, this is why I want to go do it, this is how much it's going to cost, it's kind of like, all right, I got some beachfront property in Nebraska to sell you, kind of energy,
Yep.
So let's explore this, right? It's said that the general may have used prophecies and predictions to expedite their work, maintain that high level of secrecy and maybe less scrutiny, but also simply to cover up the whole thing. It does blend in with one of the previous theories, like throw it all out there and it creates a very murky glass to look through.
Yeah, just cause confusion, muddy the waters up. No one can tell what's real, what's not.
And the main question that leads the charge on raising suspicions here, as we've already indicated, is if the project was digging a hole, right? Primarily with shovels and basic equipment. We're not talking about anything advanced, anything particularly high-tech. We talked about some gadgets going haywire, some digging equipment going wrong. Why was it so expensive, right? 16 million lev in the early 90s. Nothing high-tech. But also, the main team now that I understand it more, and again, the sources are different, a lot of people talk about the military broadly, and when you think military, you think a lot of people. But from my understanding, the main team consisted of only a handful of individuals as well as some of the psychics, but the key psychic, Loginova. So we're really not talking about a large footprint here.
Right.
So a few people, basic equipment, $16 million.
That's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I also, I kind of fall into that camp of this was an excuse to throw a lot of money at something, and then maybe some of the money got lost, because that's a lot. That's a lot.
You could do a lot with that.
Yeah.
You can dig a lot of holes with that.
Dig a lot of holes. And to dig like one hole, do we know how deep the hole is?
That's a great question. Christian, I'm actually curious if you can help me find that. I didn't see a definitive. I just know that they hit over 20 feet. That's when they started experiencing some difficulty, but
20 feet does not sound that deep at all.
No. So I know they went deeper. I just don't know how deep.
Right. We dug like 25 feet, and then that was it. $16 million, though. We're going to send you the bill.
Yeah, it's hard to find an exact number. It's just one of those things that they didn't properly document. And so like numbers will vary depending on where you're looking.
And I mean, to Christian's point, it's that lack of documentation, the destroyed dig site, that also makes people go, all right, you got nothing there.
Yeah.
Clearly this is embezzlement. And you just said, ooh, it's scary down there. Let's blow that up and bury the paperwork. Like, I also find it to be relatively convenient that they did this in such a tiny town where witnesses could be minimized, but also it's not that far away from a major city. So if you're a general looking to embezzle money, but you still want to live a not remote rural life.
True.
20 miles away, you got the main city, the capital. So it's not long of a drive away. But ultimately, we may never know. That's one of the things about this. And like, all of our cases are relatively unsolved or unknown, but there's so many gaps in the knowledge that it just leaves us with a very interesting story. You can see why it's so gripping, but you can also see why the doubt is surrounding this case at the same time.
I completely agree. There's a lot of holes in it, but at the same time, it's a mystery. It's a story. Like, they dug that hole. I'll say it again. They spent the money. They dug the hole. Whether it's something as simple as embezzling money and just a scam, who knows? Or, did they find something that was like groundbreaking? Doubt it, because we'd probably see remnants of that, right? If they found like kind of magical chemical compound, or deconstructed the DNA from a body that solved so many, like, we would see that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be something that's like
the evidence of it,
There'd be something of it.
You know what I think they found down there?
What?
I think they found Walt Disney's head. And from that, they reverse engineered the iPhone. Boom, mic drop. We got it solved.
There it is. There it is.
Listen, when it comes to ancient aliens, I get it. All sorts of beliefs during any timeline, modern, relatively recent history, ancient history, all beliefs stem from filling in the gap in knowledge. And I love that. I love the idea of that. I don't know what the proper term is, but essentially the etymology of that, the origin of these things. But ancient aliens has become this skeleton key for ancient humans being interesting and advanced. And I'm like, sometimes we just did baller stuff and we don't know how yet. Sometimes we built a pyramid and moved stones across the continent and then made Stonehenge and did all this really cool stuff. We don't need an external, aliens don't have to be coming down and burying themselves and being like, I helped you do that, you know? Do you think in 10,000 years they're going to be like, dude, Steve Jobs kind of buddied up with a juicy alien and that's where the iPhone came from?
I mean, that was a good leap in tech.
It was a pretty good leap in tech.
It's a pretty good leap in tech. Do I believe he got thrown around by a juice up alien? Never say never.
It's thrown around by juicy aliens.
Maybe there's a part of me that was just hoping. That's true.
Yeah. Well, I think that is part of the the tenets of this show, is that it's some part of all of us. We believe that to be true, and we wait our time. Listen, if you're looking for the iPhone killer, I'm right over here. Just toss me around a bit, we'll make it happen. All right, man. Well, this has been the Tsarichina Hole, Operation Sunray, Operation Lightbeam. It goes by a few names there, but really interesting story. Any final thoughts as we kind of come to a close on this like, again, this smorgasbord, this sampler platter of the unknown?
They spent that money. There were people digging for 2 years, man. Like something happened. Something went down.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be overly fanciful, but something went down, and we may never know.
Statistically, someone spent 3% of their whole life where their full-time job was digging in this spot.
Right. And I think we'll never know. And whatever it is, they got away with it.
All right. Well, this has been, like I said, the Tsarichina Hole. Thank you, Task Force, as always, for your wonderful support. It is the best way to support this show is to go to redwebpod.com, where we give you a smorgasbord is the word of the day.
Yes, it is.
A lot of content. We got Movie Club. We got Break Room. We have monthly gameplays called Fieldwork now, where we can test our skills in the state-of-the-art simulator.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you want to spread this podcast by word of mouth, share it with your friends, your family. Apparently, we're the #1 podcast for moms. There's so many moms, people that I know that their moms like don't realize that I do this. Like a good friend of mine, he was getting married, and I bumped into his mom. He goes, "Oh my God, you're Trevor. I love your podcast." They had no idea.
Oh my God, I'm throwing that around everywhere. #1 mystery podcast for moms.
We're mom's favorite podcast about movies, about mysteries.
Hi, mommy.
Hi, yeah. Oh, well. Okay. I won't say it because I think my mom also listens to this. But
oh no.
But yeah, come support us over at redwebpod.com and join us this Friday. Please, we're going to have a lot of fun. We have stretch goals for shows that we would love to develop. So come see what those are and check us out on social, where we'll let you know how to cross those thresholds. 20% off annual memberships right now. Again, redwebpod.com. Lots happening here for our 5th anniversary. We're getting up there. We're potty trained now, boys.
Yeah, we are. No more pissing all over the floor.
Some of us are still trying to fix that. I'm being a big boy at 34. Shout outs to Nikhil K for being the newest task force member as of right now. Rosie, thank you for being a buff mind. And of course, our squonks for the week are Clint from PS3 and Andy Schrock, just to name a few. Task force, woo! Lots happening. See you Friday. And Fredo, I'll see you on Friday, but also right back here next Monday for yet another mystery.
So all the moms out there, you're doing a fantastic job.